Hey guys, I'm back. I'm back with more scripture because I finally found this really crazy part of Enoch that I just wanted to share with you. So I'm going to be reading out of Enoch 80 through chapter 87. Charge given to Enoch the 4 intercalary days, the stars which lead the seasons and the months. And now, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to thee and writing down for thee, and I have revealed to thee everything, and given thee books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from thy father's hand, and see that thou deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children, and thy children shall be to thee, that they may give it to their children for generations. This wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought. That they may give it to their children for generations. This wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought. Verse 3. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. You guys can listen. Go sit right there. Blessed are all the righteous. Blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of thousands of the orders of the stars, together with the four which are intercalated, which divide the four portions of the years, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them men shall be at fault, and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault, and not recognize them accurately. Interesting. So this is telling us there's 4 intercalary stars that lead the seasons, which in the Zedek calendar that I follow, they have these 4 intercalary days. Each month is 30. And then you have 4 seasonal days. And this is what this scripture is telling us here. Even though it says that we don't recognize them. For they belong to the reckoning of the year, and are truly recorded thereon forever. 1 in the first portal, and 1 in the third, and 1 in the fourth, and 1 in the sixth. And the year is completed in 364 days. And the account thereof is accurate, and the reckoning thereof exact. For the luminaries, and months, and festivals, and years and days has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom Yah of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the hosts of heaven. And he has power over night and day in the heaven, to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all of the power of the heavens which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the order of the stars, which set in their places, and in their seasons, and festivals, and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in the orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. Verse 11. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 days there are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days there are the leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. And these heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station. But their leaders make the division, and these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Milkiel, Helemelech, and Melejal, and Nariel, or Naril. Not exactly sure how those are pronounced in their Jewish term, but. And the names of those who lead them: Adnarel, and Ijasusa El, and Elomeel. These 3 follow the leaders of the order, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow those leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Melchijal rises first and rules, who is named Tamani and son, and all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field, but the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Barkiel, Zelbel, and another who is added to the head of the 1,000, called Helajuseph. And in the days of the dominion of this leader are at an end. The next leader after him is Helemelech, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of his days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits and produce all their fruits ripe and ready, and the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields, and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders of the leaders of those heads of thousands: Giddajal, Keel, and Heel. And the name of the head of the 1,000s which is added to them, Asphiel. And the name of his dominion are at an end, or the days of his dominion are at an end. Enoch 81. First dream and vision on the deluge. So the deluge is the great flood. So I know. Yeah. Yeah, we're in the middle of our scripture study, so you can either sit and listen, or you guys can go and finish your chores. So this is Enoch 81. But just to take a really quick break, because this is all like totally new to me, but I love how organized and ordered everything is, and how beautiful this calendar looks. I'll pull it out. And the intercalary days. It's just been a really awesome study for me as a believer. And I just wish that more Christians would take a look at these things that are not taught. But look at this beautiful calendar, and see, here's the intercalary days that they have during the seasons. And you know, really one of the things that it speaks to me right now, as I'm kind of in the middle of spring cleaning and getting everything cleared out. I want things to be more functional in my house, and I'm trying to hold my kids to the same standards. Isn't that right? But we're all working on it, and working on being organized and ordered, because that is the God we serve. In fact, he has such a perfect, beautiful order of things. And I really enjoyed that chapter 80, because it's very ordered and just beautifully depicted. I love it. Okay, so this is Enoch 81. Now this is the crazy one. And now my son Methuselah, I will show thee all my visions which I have seen, recounting them before thee. 2 visions I saw before I took a wife, and one was quite unlike the other. The first when I was learning to write, the second before I took thy mother, when I saw a terrible vision. And regarding them I prayed to the Lord. I had laid me down in the house of my grandfather Mahaliel, when I saw in a vision how the heaven collapsed and was borne off and fell to the earth. And when it fell to the earth, I saw how the earth was swallowed up in a great abyss, and mountains were suspended on mountains, and hills sank down on hills, and high trees were rent from their stems, and hurled down and sunk in the abyss. And therefore a word fell into my mouth, and I lifted up my voice to cry aloud and said, the earth is destroyed. And my father Mahaliel waked me as I lay near him, and said unto me, why dost thou cry so, my son? And why dost thou make such lamentation? And I recounted to him the whole vision which I had seen. And he said unto me, a terrible thing hast thou seen, my son, and of a grave And of grave moment is thy dream vision as to the secrets of all the sin of the earth. It must sink into the abyss and be destroyed with a great destruction. And now, my son, arise and make petition to Yah of glory, since thou art a believer, that a remnant may remain on the earth, and that he may not destroy the whole earth. My son, from heaven all this will come upon the earth, and upon the earth there will be great destruction. After that I arose and prayed and implored and besought and wrote down my prayer for the generations of the world. And I will show everything to thee, my son Methuselah. And when I have gone forth below and seen the heaven, and the sun rising in the east, and the moon setting in the west, and a few stars, and the whole earth, and everything as he had known it in the beginning, then I blessed Yah of judgment, and extolled him, because he had made the sun to go forth from the windows of the east. And he ascended and rose on the face of the heaven, and set out, and kept traversing the path shown unto him. Enoch 82. And I lifted up my hands in righteousness, and blessed the Holy and Great One, and spoke with the breath of my mouth, and with the tongue of flesh, which God has made for the children of the flesh of men, that they should speak therewith. And he gave them breath, and tongue, and a mouth, and they should speak therewith. Blessed be thou, O Lord, King, great and mighty in thy greatness, Lord of the whole creation of the heaven, King of kings, and God of the whole world. And thy power and kingship and greatness abide forever and ever, and through all generations thy dominion. And all the heavens are thy throne forever, the whole earth thy footstool forever and ever. For thou hast made, and thou rulest all things, and nothing is too hard for thee. Wisdom departs not from thy place of thy throne, nor turns away from thy presence. And thou knowest and seest and hearest everything, and there is nothing hid from thee, for thou seest everything. And now the angels of thy heaven are guilty of trespass, and upon the flesh of men abideth thy wrath until the great day of judgment. And now, O God, and Lord, and great King, I implore and beseech thee to fulfill my prayer, to leave me a posterity on earth, and not to destroy all the flesh of man, and make the earth without inhabitant, so that there should be an eternal destruction. And now, my Lord, destroy from the earth the flesh which has aroused thy wrath, but the flesh of righteousness and uprightness establish as a plant of an eternal seed, and hide not thy face from the prayer of thy servant, O Lord. Enoch 83. And after this I saw another dream, and I will show the whole dream to thee, my son. And Enoch lifted up his voice and spake to his son Methuselah. To thee, my son, I speak, hear my words, incline thine ear to the dream vision of thy father. Before I took thy mother Edna, I saw in a vision of my bed, and behold, a bull came forth from the earth, and that bull was white. And after it came forth a heifer, and among with this litter came forth two bulls, one of them black and the other red. And that black bull gored the red one, and pursued him over the earth, and thereupon I could no longer see that red bull. But the black bull grew, and that heifer went with him. And I saw that many oxen proceeded from him, and resembled and followed him. And that cow, that first one, went from the presence of that bull, in order to seek the red one, but found him not, and lamented with great lamentation over him, and sought him. Kate, Gideon, you have to be quiet. And I looked till that first bull came with her, and quieted her, and from that time onward she cried no more. And after that she bore another white bull, and after him she bore many bulls and black cows. And I saw in my sleep the white bull likewise grow and become a great white bull. And from him proceeded many white bulls, and they resembled him. And they began to beget many white bulls, which resembled them, one following the other, even many. And again I saw with my eyes as I slept, and I saw the heaven above, and behold, a star fell from heaven, and it arose and ate, and pastured amongst these oxen. And after that I saw the large and the black oxen, and behold, they all changed their stalls and pastures and their cattle, and began to live with each other. And again I saw in the vision, and looked towards the heaven, and behold, I saw many stars descend, and cast themselves down from heaven to the first star. And they became bulls among the cattle, and pastured with them amongst them. So it sounds like fallen angels that were cast down. Can you guys sit right there if you want to listen, please? So it sounds like these are fallen angels to me.
Yeah,
They came down from heaven and they became bulls. So they hung out and they became bulls. And it says, I looked at them and saw, and behold, they all let out their privy members like horses and began to cover the cows of the oxen. And they all became pregnant and bore elephants, camels, and asses, which are donkeys. And all of the oxen feared them and were affrighted at them and began to bite with their teeth and to devour and to gore with their horns. And they began, moreover, to devour these oxen. And behold, all the children of the earth began to tremble and quake before them and flee before them. Enoch 85. Okay, so it sounds like more of this interbreeding with these demons, basically. And again I saw, this is Enoch 85. And again I saw how they began to gore each other and to devour each other. And the earth began to cry aloud. And I raised mine eyes again to heaven, and I saw in the vision, and behold, there came forth from heaven beings who were like white men, and 4 went forth from that place, and 3 with them. And those 3 that had last come forth grasped me by the hand and took me up away from the generations of the earth, and raised me up to a lofty place, and showed me a tower raised high above the earth, and all the hills were lower. And one said unto me, Remain here till thou seest everything that befalls those elephants, camels, and asses, and the stars, and the oxen, and all of them. And I saw one of these 4 who had come forth first, and he seized the first star which had fallen from heaven, and bound it in hand and foot, and cast it into an abyss. Now that abyss was narrow and deep, and horrible and dark. And one of them drew a sword. And one of them drew a sword, and gave it to the elephants, and camels, and asses. Then they began to smite each other, and the whole earth quaked because of them. And as I was beholding in the vision, lo, one of those 4 who had come forth stoned them from heaven, and gathered and took all the great stars, whose privy members were like those of horses, and bound them all hand and foot, and cast them in an abyss of the earth. And one of those 4 went to that white bull, and instructed him in secret. Gideon, can you please go and play out in the living room, since you don't want to listen to scripture? You don't need to be in here interrupting.
Are you okay?
Suck it up. Suck it up. Okay, so we stuck him into the abyss. Enoch 87. The deluge and deliverance of Noah. Okay, so to me... Oh, wait. Yeah. So to me, it sounds like this is similar to like the Nephilim, where the angels came down and bred with humans, but instead of breeding with humans, they bred with all these animals, which totally would explain all of the half man, half animal deities that are pictured in the ancient Egyptian culture and on a lot of old maps. So, no, this next part, I don't have much more that I'm going to read to you guys, but this next part is kind of interesting. So, Enoch 87. The one of the 4 went to that white bull, and instructed him in secret, without his being terrified. He was born a bull and became a man, and built for himself a great vessel, and dwelt therein. And 3 bulls dwelt with him in that vessel, and they were covered in. So he built himself some sort of vehicle.
A vehicle?
I think so. Some sort of a vessel, like a container. So again, I raised mine eyes towards heaven, and saw a lofty roof with 7 water torrents therein. And those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. And I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the surface of that great enclosure, and that water began to swell and rise upon the surface. And I saw that enclosure till all its surface was covered with water. And the water, the darkness and mist increased upon it. And as I look at the height of that water, the water had risen above the height of that enclosure and was streaming over that enclosure, and it stood upon the earth. And all the cattle of that enclosure were gathered together until I saw how they sank and were swallowed up and perished in that water. But that vessel floated on the water, while all the oxen and elephants and camels and asses sank to the bottom with all the animals, so that I could no longer see them, and they were not able to escape, but perished and sank into the depths. And again I saw in the vision till those water torrents were removed from that high roof, and the chasm of the earth were leveled up, and the other abysses were opened. Then the water began to run down into these, till the earth became visible. But that vessel settled on the earth, and the darkness retired, and light appeared. But that white bull, which had become a man, came out of that vessel, and the 3 bulls with him. And one of those 3 was white like that bull, and one of them was red as blood, and one black. And that white bull departed from them. So this is just like so interesting to me, because I wonder if this is talking about Noah. I mean, him, and just talking about him and his sons. Because, yeah, so this could be talking about Noah. It's just very interesting that they said that he became a man. Like the bull became a man. One of those 4 went to the white bull and instructed him in secret. He was born a bull and became a man. Very interesting. You know, it's just very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's keep reading. Verse 9. But that white bull, which had become a man, came out of that vessel, and the 3 bulls with him. One of the 3 was white like the bull. Oh, red and... Okay, so the white one departed. And it says, from the death of Noah to Exodus is the next part we're going to read. And they began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds, so that there arose different genera: lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, hyena, wild boar, foxes, squirrels, swine, falcons, vultures, kites, eagles, ravens, and among them was born a white bull. And they began to bite one another, and that white bull which was born amongst them begat a wild ass, and a white bull with it. And the wild asses multiplied. So this is just so weird that these animals are having other animals. And I'm wondering if this is... So these are dreams. So a lot of times in a dream, you will have basically like symbolism. So instead of dreaming about a specific person, you will dream a symbol. Or if you dream of a person, they are symbolizing something else. So they don't even necessarily mean what they're talking about. It's merely a symbol. So I wonder if that's what this is this is all symbolism. But let's keep reading and ask Yahweh, please give us interpretation and understanding into these scriptures. That bull which was born from him begat a black wild boar and a white sheep, and the former begat many boars, but that sheep begat 12 sheep. And when those 12 sheep had grown, they gave up one of them to the asses, and those asses again gave up that sheep to the wolves, and that sheep grew up among the wolves. And Yah brought the 11 sheep to live with it, and to pasture with it among the wolves, and they multiplied and became many flocks of sheep. And the wolves began to fear them, and they oppressed them until they destroyed their little ones. And they cast the young into a river of much water. But those sheep began to cry aloud on account of their little ones, and to complain unto their Lord. And a sheep which had been saved for the wolves fled, and escaped to the wild asses. And I saw the sheep, how they lamented and cried, and besought their Lord with all their might, till that Lord of the sheep descended as a voice of the sheep from a lofty abode, and came to them, and pastured them. And he called that sheep which had escaped the wolves, and spake with it concerning the wolves, that it should admonish them not to touch the sheep. And the sheep went to the wolves according to the word of Yah, and another sheep met it and went with it. And the two went and entered together into the assembly of the wolves, and spake to them, and admonished them not to touch the sheep from henceforth. And thereupon I saw the wolves, and how they oppressed the sheep exceedingly with all their power. And the sheep cried aloud, and Yah came to the sheep, and they began to smite those wolves, and the wolves began to make lamentation. But the sheep became quiet, and forthwith ceased to cry out. And I saw the sheep till they departed from amongst the wolves. But the eyes of the wolves were blinded, and those wolves departed in pursuit of the sheep with all their power. And Yah of the sheep went with them as their leader, and all his sheep followed him, and his face was dazzling and glorious, and terrible to behold. But the wolves began to pursue those sheep, till they reached the sea of water. And the sea was divided, and the water stood on this side and on that before their face. And the Lord led them, and placed himself between them and the wolves. And those wolves did not yet see the sheep. They proceeded into the midst of the sea, and the wolves followed the sheep. And those wolves ran after them into the sea. And when they saw Yah of the sheep, they turned to flee before his face. But that sea gathered itself together, and became as it had been created, and the water swelled and rose till it covered those wolves. And I saw till all the wolves who pursued those sheep perished and were drowned. Very interesting. So, pretty cool, huh? All right, I got to get back to our chores, but just wanted to read you some of Enoch. And, yeah, what crazy, awesome scriptures are we going to read today?
These things are cool.
Thanks. All right, well, thanks again for watching. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Say bye.
Bye.